Roses are red, violets are blue, but mostly we're poor at making art. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Benj. So today, as you can probably tell from that intro, we're drawing the Scarlet and Violet Pokemon games that just came out.
If you could tell by that intro, anything other than we're just as bad at poetry as we are at art, then I'm impressed.
Yep. But I mean, come on. You said red, which is like Scarlet. You said blue, which is like Violet.
See, that's the problem. Yeah. I didn't say scarlet, but I did say red. And I did say violets are blue, but violets just aren't blue.
So you just lied.
Yeah, pretty much nothing in nature is blue. Like
That's yeah.
It's like other than the sky, and people say the ocean, even though
it's just not.
It very rarely actually resembles
like
that
a
color.
very chlorinated pool might be blue.
Yeah, somehow that gets it blue.
Yeah.
And I think that's mostly because of the sky.
Yeah, it's reflecting the sky. I mean, it is kind of weird because the sky is blue because of the water in the sky.
Yeah.
But then the ocean is blue because it's reflecting. Because like if you go to an ocean, like if you go to a pool of water that's like with trees all around, it's gonna be green.
Mm-hmm. But that doesn't matter at all for today. The point is, the new Pokemon game has come out, and Benj and I, growing up in the early to late 90s, are huge Pokemon fans because we grew up at like the birth of the world of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like the cards and the shows.
Like we played the first game around when it first came out.
I remember getting it.
When the second game came out, it was like when I could read. So it was like the game I played the most.
Yeah, I feel like we were just a bit too young for Pokemon Blue and Red, which were the first two. But yeah, by the time Gold and Silver came out, we were...
I mean, it didn't stop me from beating Red and Blue.
Yeah,
Red
we played them a ton.
Like a million times.
I remember playing them on my Game Boy Color. It's good times.
Yeah.
But
I remember playing them on the original. I had an original Game Boy, and that's what I played Red version on.
I don't remember that. I remember your Game Boy Color. But
yeah, I eventually got a Game Boy Color, but my uncle gave me an original Game Boy.
My uncle also gave me an original Game Boy, but
so that's what I played Red version on first.
Wow, how things have changed.
Yep.
But what hasn't changed is the fact that we still play the new Pokemon games every time they come out. But here's the problem. You know, they've come up lately with like trying to make Pokemon to fit with the games.
Right.
They had Pokemon Sun and Moon, which oddly enough didn't include the Sun and Moon Pokemon,
right?
Which came out.
They weren't even in the game, I don't think.
I don't believe they were, and if they weren't, they weren't like the main Pokemon in the game at all, which is weird because there was a Sun and Moon Pokemon. X and Y, technically, they had a Pokemon that was sort of shaped like a Y, and one that was sort of like its antlers were sort of shaped like an X.
Yeah,
but that was a stretch. That was a stretch.
But at least they tried.
We drew the Diamond and Pearl Pokemon last time the remake of Diamond and Pearl came out.
Diamond and Pearl didn't even try.
Sword and Shield also. Can we talk about how Sword and Shield, there was a Sword and Shield Pokemon, but that wasn't...
a dog holding a shield and a dog holding a sword.
But even before that, there was a sword Pokemon.
Yeah,
the thing we're trying to get at is that Pokemon games do a very poor job of like releasing a game with Pokemon for that game that makes sense.
Right.
Like, technically the legendaries in this... So if you don't know Pokemon, every game has 2 or 3 Pokemon that are called legendary Pokemon. They're just better than the other Pokemon, better stats, and they're unique to that particular game.
Right.
So in this game, they created a violet-colored Pokemon and a scarlet-colored Pokemon. But that's not really that's not the embodiment of a scarlet Pokemon or a violet Pokemon.
Right, no.
So we have taken it upon ourselves to draw the Scarlet and Violet Pokemon that should have been.
Yeah. So I got the game Pokemon Scarlet and Isaac got Violet. But I'm going to draw Violet and Isaac's going to draw
You
Scarlet.
draw the Pokemon for my game, and I'll draw the Pokemon for your game.
And then the other person has to play with this
And then the
Pokemon.
people at Nintendo and the Pokemon Company can watch our video.
Yep. Update the game.
And then sponsor our hotel.
Yes.
That's the business model anyway.
Exactly. So I am going to do something I don't normally do.
Draw well.
No.
I know.
I'm
it was a
going
joke.
to use a reference
Wait,
from my
You're
phone.
looking something up?
Yeah. I mean, you do it like every week.
I
but-
do not.
Yeah, you do.
I do it more often than you do, but that's
But-
usually because I forget what normal
I pretty much never.
objects in the human
Yeah.
world look like.
See, but like I didn't know what a violet looked like.
Oh, that's
like-
weird, because I could totally picture a violet. It looks like...
That's on
Oh,
the
you-
screen.
Those are very different, those two flowers.
I was like these two. I'm going for that one.
You're just going to draw like a flower Pokemon?
No, of course
There's like
not.
50 flower Pokemon.
This isn't just a flower Pokemon. Trust me.
What are you doing? You
Trust.
rubbed your mustache like an evil villain.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you could have basically just curled your mustache at the end if it were longer.
Yep. I could have. So this, what I'm going for, and I'm telling you this because it's gonna fail miserably.
Don't tell us that. We'll just assume whatever you draw is what it's supposed to
Okay,
be, like
fine.
every week.
I'll start drawing, and then when I fail,
You can. I mean, we'll all know
Yeah.
when it's failed. we always know.
okay.
Like right now, is that the shape you were going for?
Yeah, kind of.
The long softball bat shape. That broke. The broken softball bat.
Okay.
Is that a pen?
Yeah, it is a pen.
Wow.
In fact.
Man, why didn't I think of that?
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, we kind of already drew
Didn't
like
we
a
draw
pen
a pen
Pokemon.
Pokemon? We did draw a pen
Yeah,
Pokemon.
but this isn't
Yeah.
gonna.
We can't have every Pokemon we draw as two poor artists be pen Pokemon.
This will be different enough. Trust me.
Well, like, okay, if you're thinking there can't be multiple pen Pokemon, but
Oh.
every single Pokemon game has an electric mouse Pokemon,
Mhm.
like, come on.
Yeah.
There are certain things that are in every Pokemon game. You always, at the beginning of every Pokemon game, you have to pick from one of three Pokemon that are always water, grass, or fire type. Every Pokemon game has an electric mouse Pokemon, because people like Pikachu and they're trying to copy that.
Yep.
Every Pokemon game has...
Even though Pikachu was originally based off of a squirrel.
That's true. Every Pokemon game has like a bug Pokemon at the beginning that transforms into something similar to a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
Every Pokemon game has a bird Pokemon at the beginning that you can catch that's new. This game has something weird, though, that I've never really seen in a game. It has a Pokemon that is just 100% a regular flamingo.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep. There's nothing different about it.
like it's slightly more round than maybe a normal flamingo,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to get really technical. But I've never seen a Pokemon that's so much just, we made a flamingo, and we didn't change anything about a flamingo. Whoa, it has a beard.
Yep. So I'm going. So
It's so handsome.
there's
for a
like
pen.
so this would be like violet colored, like
Mhm.
because it's like a violet. So here's what I'm going for, and now I'm going to explain it because
I love it.
it's hard to get
I don't
through.
I don't know what you're going for, but it's
I'm going for like a Spanish poet mixed with a violet
Oh.
and a pen. You know what I'm
So it's like,
because this game is based in Spain.
mm-hmm.
And so I looked up some Spanish poets earlier, and they usually have like very noticeable mustaches, often like a goatee type thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also have like the old timey, like obviously no modern poet, but they had like those frilly things around their necks.
I don't know what modern poets look like, but I imagine they're just disappointing looking.
Yes. You just look at them and they're like a normal guy.
They're just, I don't even know how to describe it. Just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the worst. like, don't get me wrong. I like poetry, especially if it's clever.
Mm-hmm.
But a modern poet is just like, I don't even know. They're like that weirdo who like sits in the back of the cafe and just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, It's really hard to describe. They're not like the classic poets of old that are just, they're cool
Yeah.
somehow, like with beards, and they're like so manly, and they write poems, and you're like, that's right, that's what a real man does. And then
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm going for with this.
I mean, it's
I'm
basically,
deciding if I want to like add any more, because like as a first evolution, like this is done.
yeah. I mean,
You know what I mean? But like, do I want to add things to make this not be like the first evolution? Like, if this is supposed to be a legendary Pokemon, this isn't done.
It doesn't have to be a legendary Pokemon necessarily. It just has to be.
This could be like the Violet mythical Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like the little Mew just like floats around.
Yeah.
Writes
like
poems
all
for
game,
you.
like it comes around and writes things in poem to you.
Yeah. Like you just like find messages hidden by this thing and you find it.
I mean, I like it. I would totally catch this
like
Pokemon.
give it a
like it's
just
been writing.
Yeah, like that's what it does. Like as it like slides along the ground, it just writes.
The Violet Pokemon that is a Spanish poet.
Yes.
It's pretty fantastic.
Going with that whole like violets are blue, roses are red, violets are blue theme.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the most famous poem in the whole world.
I mean, and it's like nobody uses the word violet other than that one poem.
It's true. I've already come up with my idea for Scarlet, and it's also the only way that the word Scarlet is ever used. So it's they're not. Yeah. See, the thing with Pokemon games is they always have. I shouldn't say always, but for most of the games, they've been colors. It started with blue and red. Then they had gold and silver. Then they had sapphire and ruby. And then they had black. They've had black and white.
Yeah.
They've had violet and scarlet. They've had.
They took a break with X and Y, Sun and Moon, and Sword and Shield.
And Pearl and Diamond.
Yeah, like Pearl and Diamond at least kind of are like.
But I feel like the traditional Pokemon games are always like two colors. Yep.
Yeah, also, Diamond and Pearl, the only real reason that was changed is because it was supposed to be, like after Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah, it went from like two colors to like two precious
and Ruby
metals
and Sapphire,
or gems.
Yeah, and Ruby and Sapphire was supposed to be like the bridge between them. Since it was like colors that are also gems. And then they just like immediately stopped doing that and did black and white. It's like, okay.
We could get behind a black and white Pokemon game drawing.
I need to name this thing.
Oh gosh.
So like I've got like Pen
and Violet
and Poet. So
Pen Violet Poet.
And then you gotta like mix them together somehow and be creative because that's how Pokemon are.
Oh,
so how do you mix Poet and Violet? I mean, they already rhyme. So,
they aren't very original with Pokemon names, to be fair. Like
I could do like Polet.
I like that. Polet.
So to be like, so there be an E.
Yeah.
In Polet?
Yeah. What type of Pokemon is this?
Polet. The Violet Pokemon.
Is it grass type? Because it's
got like the floweriness. It also kind
maybe
of looks
a fairy
buggy.
type. Fairy bug.
Oh.
Fairy.
I mean, it could be grass. It could be grass fairy, but the thing is, there's already a flower Pokemon that's grass fairy.
Well, then it can't.
But that's like a complete, like that's just like a flower. Like it's literally just like a
versus this, which
flower.
is a flower,
This
pen,
is like
and a
pen.
poet.
But like, what typing is pen? It could be like a grass steel type. There's not too many of those.
That works. Grass steel.
And I mean, not that most pens are actually made out of steel, but
it could make it that color. Grass steel.
But I mean, when Nintendo takes this idea from me, they can make it whatever type they want.
All we ask for is a shout out in the credits. And $1 million.
Well, yeah, I don't need any of that. Just build us a hotel.
Yeah. Once Nintendo's on board for an idea, you know how many other people would be on board for it? All we really need is Nintendo to be like, you know what? We think this is a good idea.
We'll do. Every room can be a Pokemon. I mean, now that there's over 1,000, we could go through Pokemon for a long time, replacing the drawings in the rooms.
That'd be fantastic.
Like, we would be drawing the Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Which might not be that fantastic. Although I really like your Polit.
Yeah,
it's also
I like it. Like, it's simple, but it's pretty good.
All right, mine is much more controversial, perhaps. So
well,
I think it's about time for the world to see.
Let's see what you do.
The Scarlet Pokemon. All right, the Scarlet Pokemon. The Scarlet Pokemon. So when you think of Scarlet, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is the first thing that comes to everyone's mind.
The book? The Scarlet Letter.
Yep. You read it in high school,
and
you wish you didn't.
And then everyone's like, well, now we can't think of happy thoughts about the word Scarlet again.
With that book, at least you immediately regret it. You know, it's like you open it up and like the first chapter, or at least the first page, is just like, here's this door and this bush next to the door. Let me explain it in exact detail for a whole like chapter. You know, like you pick up the book and you just immediately hate it.
You're not wrong. It is a terrible book.
And then you find out what it's about and you hate it more.
That's also very accurate. It's just depressing. The whole book is just varying levels of sadness.
But if it was just depressing, then you could get past it. It's boring.
It's also boring. It's also very boring. Just imagine that's symmetrical. Okay.
Yep. There's lots of imagining
in our drawings. Yeah, it's true.
Just imagine that this art is what we want it to look like.
Yeah, exactly.
The lines are straight. The curves are fluid.
Fluid? I guess that is an art term, isn't it? Fluid. Fluid.
I assume it is.
Fluid. Yep. No, but yeah, this isn't gonna be fluid. All right. So where were we?
But will it be art?
I mean, anything can be art.
Yep.
Even I'm art. I think, as the saying goes.
Is that how the saying goes? I mean, that's like the quote from the Willy Wonka, or I guess it's the Charlie the Chocolate Factory.
I mean, it's not really the quote. That's like a edible quote.
Yeah,
but you get my
everything's art. Even
I'm art, my dear children. But that is unaccepted in certain societies. That is basically the same thing. It works. It works for our art. Very unaccepted in society.
That horn.
It's supposed to be wiggly. Okay. Like that was a choice. It's deliberate. Okay. It was deliberate.
Okay. It's a very used horn.
It's a ghost horn.
Oh, ghost horn.
Not symmetrical. But that's okay.
So like is it like a ghost flame type?
It's gonna be a ghost Pokemon. But I haven't figured out the
like
actual
instead of like real horns.
No, it's gonna be a ghost fighting type. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
Because we're sticking with the Spain theme, right?
Right.
And what is more Spanish than bullfighting?
I mean, they probably wouldn't like that. That's what you're calling them most known for.
But it's like when you think of bullfighting, where do you think of?
Yeah.
Only
I mean, it's definitely a Spanish thing.
Yes. Thank you for that. But I'm not saying they're like proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things I know most about Spain.
I feel like that's like a modern thing where like they have to they have to hate on bullfighting because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to be fair, bullfighting is pretty like violent.
Yeah, like I've seen bullfighting done in like America, but it's like purposefully not violent. It's more like a show.
Yeah,
They just like dodge the bull and then have a clown come out and dance around.
it's not the kind of bullfighting that they have in Spain where it's like,
Yeah, where it's like
now get out the spears,
like when
throw
I
them.
like I heard somebody talking about how bullfighting in Spain was like a horrible thing. It's like, how dare they do that to the bull? And I'm like, what? You mean how they like let the bull run around while they dodge it and clown around? They're like, no, when they like spear it to death. And I'm like, what? I was shocked that was happening.
That is the Spanish way. It has to have a ring in its nose because I don't even know if a lot of bulls have that for real, but it's definitely the perception.
How else do you lead the bull around? So I still find it interesting, I mean, in a kind of cool way, that you decided to take, so like this is like a ghost type, but you took the only part of the bull that you can normally see the bones, and you made that be the part that's like ghost.
Yeah. It's a Pokemon. It doesn't have to make sense. There's the fire Pokemon is like has like a fire sombrero on its head.
Right.
I don't know if that's the technical name.
Are you making the head to be bones?
It so far seems to be that's what I'm doing.
So everything went one level farther. Like the horns that were already bone became ghost, and the head.
I know the horns are
became
for
bone.
sure ghosty.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a skull, like it's white or maybe scarlet.
Scarlet skull. This might
The
be
horns are definitely like red ghost flames.
Yeah. If this
But it's not a
skull
fire
was
type.
red, this Pokemon might be too scary.
It's gonna get scarier.
like
It's gonna get worse.
this
Ben.
is the bloody skull
It's
Pokemon
not the bloody skull.
with
not.
the horns.
It doesn't have to be blood. It's scarlet. You know how it goes.
I know that scarlet's the color of blood.
Now it needs like a body.
Right? Yep. I mean, it could just be the floating bloody
I
skull
don't know how to.
Pokemon.
I don't know how to attach the. I don't know how to attach the body. Maybe it's just a floating skull.
Yep.
Because I want to give it like a ghost body, but how
Mhm.
do you give this a ghost? Like where does it come from?
Yeah. Like, does it have like a bull body that's ghost?
I don't know. It needs a body though. What's its body gonna look like, Benj? Maybe it looks like what does a bullfighter look like? Hang on.
They wear like, they have like the cape, obviously, and then they
Can't just give this a cape, can I? I know they wear a lot of scarlet. And they carry a spears.
Mm-hmm.
They have like really elaborate costumes.
Right. Yeah, they almost are like military-esque costumes.
In case you're wondering, I am doing the thing Benj accused me of, and I'm just looking up what bullfighters look like, which I probably should have done before I started drawing this.
Yeah, but you had to look up what a bull skull looked like and
So
ghosts.
maybe it does have like a cape thing coming down behind it. Let's see about this.
So, did you give up? Like you started talking about the book Scarlet Letter,
It's too
and then you
depressed.
just drew a bull.
Oh, it's going to
Skull.
relate back to the Scarlet Letter.
Oh, okay.
Because it has to be the Scarlet Pokemon. So I remember the Scarlet Letter too well, unfortunately. I won't give you the synopsis. Needless to say, it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
There's some cloth hanging down in the background. Yeah. This cloth thing. It has like a it has like a cape, like you said. It's
Yeah.
like a floating disembodied ghost bull's head with a red cape. Yeah. Like a bullfighter's
This
cape.
Pokédex entry would be like, and this Tauros was murdered by a bullfighter
No.
and became a ghost type Pokemon.
Yeah.
But that's less creepy than some of the Pokédex entries. That
There are
exist.
some super creepy Pokédex entries, that is sure. For sure. Like, I don't even want to say some of them. They're so
Yep.
creepy.
And even some of the ones that you like wouldn't think are that creepy, like Kadabra. You're just like, oh, okay, it's just like a weird psychic fox Pokemon, based off of like the Japanese lore with foxes. But then it's like, one day a human woke up and was a Kadabra, and that's like how they exist. It's like, what the heck? And then somebody went and caught it?
And raised it. And,
Raised it
yeah, it's stuck.
and bred it with dittos?
Yeah, it's creepy as heck to think about. You're right. Okay, so how do we relate this back to the Scarlet Pokemon? You probably are wondering to yourself. Well, if you haven't read the Scarlet Letter, all you need to know is that there's a girl who has a Scarlet Letter A that she's forced to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a guy who has a Scarlet A, like, burned into his chest, possibly
Right.
self-inflicted due to guilt. But that is the point. But the point is that we need an A.
Right.
This is
See, now this is now making me think, like, you know how Captain America has the villain, the Red Skull? You know how Captain America has a giant letter A on his forehead?
what? I guess he does.
So now this is just like
Not for that reason.
the Captain America Red Skull Pokemon.
This Pokemon is both terrifying and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we have the ghost horns. It definitely is like, oh no, it was killed by a bullfighter,
Yep.
and now it has a scarlet letter on its forehead for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with what you were saying, but
Oh, well,
you
thank
know
you.
what we haven't mentioned yet
What?
about the Pokemon game? Is that this is the first Pokemon game that is just like completely multiplayer.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Like, we can just join each other's world and run around, fight the same Pokemons, like at least see the same Pokemon, battle each other, trade with each other.
It's true.
Like, we can play the whole game together.
It is pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to run around.
four people.
I know. It is like the thing we've always dreamed of doing
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah, like we've always like gotten to games and kind of played them together.
Yeah.
But usually what that means is that I beat them by myself and then go to Isaac's house
And I'm trying to catch up.
and want to battle him, but his Pokemon are too low level. But now it's like it's actually worth it for us to just like play together.
It's true. Yeah, like being able to run around together in the game and see the same Pokemon and catch the same, and be like, "Hey, come
we
over
can
here and
like
look."
watch each other battle.
Yeah, like here, hey, I found this Pokemon over here. Come catch it. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's awesome.
everything our childhood selves ever dreamed of and more.
Yeah, like once you get to like the story elements, you kind of have to do them by yourself, of
Yeah,
course.
but that's minor because
Yeah.
it's such a big open world game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know what to call this.
Mm-hmm. You threw in so many elements.
It's a bull fighter, bull, scarlet letter. I could just call it Scarlet.
Mhm.
Like the letter.
Right.
Scar bowl is dumb, isn't it?
Right.
Scar bowl, bull scar, bullet. That sounds like a gun Pokemon.
Yeah,
Bullet.
like a bullet.
Yeah. Bullet,
Yeah.
scar. It has to have.
Yeah, I think Scarlet is good, and you have to like spell it differently so you know it's pronounced Scarlet instead of Scarlet.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Like 2 A's. Scar.
Yeah.
Let. But it also is like a bull.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you call a bull? A cow. Cowlet. Cowlet. But it's also a
Scarble.
bullfighter. Scarble?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said.
You said that, but it sounds like a Pokemon already.
Yep.
Scarble. Yeah, no. That why does that sound good? Maybe we've just said it so many times that it sounds... You know how sometimes you say something so much that it sounds wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is the opposite, where we said something so much that it sounds right.
Yes. But, I mean, if we find out it was a huge mistake, like we look it up after this, and it's like, oh, that's already a Pokemon name. Who cares?
Scar. You have to spell it to where people debate how it's pronounced.
Yes.
Scar.
Like every other Pokemon. And then you watch the anime, and you're like, that's not how you pronounce it.
Yep.
I disagree.
How do you, just one L maybe? Scarbull? Or maybe there's like, bull. How do you spell bull?
Like
Bull.
O-W-L. That kind of bull. No, like O-O-L. And you're like, is that Scarball? Scarball.
O-L? Scarbull? Scarbull.
You put an E at the end.
They're like, is it Scarabule? Yeah, that's right. That's how you name a Pokemon.
Yeah. And then you're like, does it have to do with a mule? It's like, no, that's a bull.
No, it's definitely a bull. But maybe it's Scar, because maybe it's Scare, because it's scary.
Yeah.
Scarabule. And then you're like, no, it's
definitely not Scarabule.
It's just Scarbule. Scarbull. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this, though. I don't know how well the Scarlet Letter thing will go over in the Pokemon community, but, you know.
Yeah. I mean, this drawing that you did is impressively good, and it's pretty cool. It would never be a Pokemon.
Because it's too cool.
Like... Oh, gosh. It's just a floating skull. This would be an enemy you fight in Legend of Zelda.
It is pretty scary looking, isn't it? Like, even scary looking Pokemon... Well, that's not always true. Like, Giratina is terrifying looking.
Right.
There are scary looking Pokemon.
Based off of the devil. But I'm just saying, like...
This is like the
Giratina.
Ghost of a bull slain by spears in the bullfighting arena.
But like,
come back to haunt you with its Scarlet Letter forehead. This thing is supposed to be scary.
Giratina is the Satan Pokemon, and it's less scary than this. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know, what I probably should have done is like what a lot of Pokemon things do, like make it terrifying and then give it like kind, innocent eyes.
Yeah.
Where it's like it winks a lot or something. This Pokemon is like
smiles and likes to eat.
This Pokemon is like the nicest Pokemon.
Yeah. Like you read the Pokédex of this thing and you're like, oh, this is going to be a terrifying thing. And it's like, and it enjoys eating grapes.
It's known to play hopscotch with the children. It's like this horrifying phantom scarlet lettered Pokemon like hanging around the nursery school.
Yeah.
It loves story time. You're like, what the heck? That's a great thing.
It's like mine has like this horrifying backstory that's set in the Pokédex.
Yeah, and it's like a flower pen.
And yours is like the nice Pokemon that's helpful.
I think it's fantastic. By the way, in case you're wondering, it is a ghost fighting type. That way you can have a bull fighting type Pokemon.
It's the bull fighting.
Yeah,
the bull fighter Pokemon.
It'll also have a signature move where it like throws spears.
Yeah.
That heal people.
Because it's nice.
Healing spear.
Yeah.
The complete opposite of how it came to be a
Pokemon. It's the only fighting healing type move.
This Pokemon's wonderful. I can't wait for them to add it to the game.
Yep. Our two Pokemon will be the two mystical Pokemon that they come out with.
Mm-hmm. We've done it. Our work here is done, Benj.
Yep.
We have created the Scarlet and the Violet Pokemon.
Now just wait for the new update in Pokemon where they're
coming
introduced.
to a Pokemon game near you this holiday season. But until then, goodbye.
Bye.
As always, we're surprised you made it this far into our video.
There's no way we could possibly ask you to subscribe to this atrocity, so we won't.
We would say share it with your friends, but it's probably better for wasting your enemy's time.
We're probably not going to get any better, but we will keep drawing.
See you next time.